Shwmae Ffrindiau and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Anwin for anyone who's new here, and let's get started building on my Planet Diorama. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out, do anyone use iCards anymore? If not, it'll be in the description. I made a big planet diorama and I want to build something on it, and I've also made a challenge for you to build something on the planet. So if you want a little bit more information about that, check out the challenge. And today I'm going to be doing a Dromedary Camel Habitat on Mars. I've decided my planet's going to be inspired by Mars, and I wanted to make a geodesic dome for the top of the habitat. It's kind of like a honeycomb looking glass dome, and I thought I'd try and make it out of the triangles to start with in like a diamond shape. That didn't work, so I attempted to try and do it with the hexagons instead. A little bit ambitious to start with, went for the really big ones, the 6 meters. This was before I got my new glasses. Until I got these glasses, I didn't realize there was a pentagon and a hexagon. I was like, why are they 4 of the same size next to each other? I needed these new glasses. And I've been to a farm today. So I'm looking a little crusty now, so I thought, let's disguise that with my glasses. Telling you probably doesn't really make that any better, but I went to a sunflower field and took some photos, just a little bit of fun, because it was the last week the sunflowers were like nice. But if you got like in and had a little bit of fun with it, which we really did, me and my mum had a whale of a time in this farm. I'm a little bit windswept, my eyes have watered a little bit, so my under eyes are not the greatest, and yeah, I need my glasses. But I fixed the dome. The easiest way to start the geodesic dome is to start the hexagon aligned to world axis. If you want to make sure that your build is aligned to the world axis, or your object is aligned to the world axis, the easiest way I find, especially if you've got align to surface on, is pressing X first to get into advanced move, then press C, which will align to surface, and then go X again and then rotate. But to start with, make sure your hexagon is aligned to the world axis by pressing C. Put angle snap on to 15 degrees, like the smallest, and raise your hexagon up and rotate it 50 degrees each time. So you make half a curve and the last piece is flat. Yeah, you want one vertical and one horizontal into that curve, and then once you've got the first curve, you then duplicate it, spin it around, so then you've got a full arch, and delete that top piece that you've lined up then, so you've got one full arch. You can rotate that twice, so you've got the framework then, the base of the geodesic dome. Then it gets difficult, because you need to then fit pieces in. All you really need to do is line one up, because you started building on the align to world axis. It's a lot easier to duplicate. So you align the first one, flip it, move it over to its opposite side, and then duplicate the two, and then rotate them so they fit into the hexagon shape. The center of rotation is a little bit tricky with some of these shapes. The hexagons are okay, but the triangles were like the most finicky thing, and you will need to use the triangles and the pentagons to fit in with the hexagons if you start with hexagons. So the first part of the dome, easy. You could just stop there. But I wanted mine quite large to fit over the top of the habitat, so it kind of looks like I've enclosed these camels in the habitat so they have oxygen and things. Maybe it's a futuristic Mars and we've figured out a way of creating our own oxygen with something. I'm actually using the bubble hexagons as well to make it give it a little bit more of a futuristic feel. I use these on my dodecahedron build as well for the Siamang habitat. So it's the same sort of technique as well, but the dodecahedrons were actually easier than this, and they were probably the most difficult thing I've ever built. So yeah, really challenging myself with this one. I just thought the arid animal pack animals, they would live better in a more like arid climate, obviously, and I don't think they've actually found water on Mars yet, so I think we're good with that. But I was having a look at the fun facts, and a couple of these fit really nicely in with like having an animal live on a brand new planet. So the dromedary camel can lose 30% of its body weight in water during extended dry spells. If an opportunity arises to restock water reserves, it can drink 100 litres of water in 10 minutes. So they can keep the water for an extended period of time, and they can also replenish water quickly. So say like this futuristic planet, we found a way of transporting this water to them. The other thing that I thought was like amazing for a brand new planet is dromedary camels only eat a few leaves from each of the plants they forage on. This means plants remain in good condition and are able to recover, so the camels do not reduce their foraging opportunities, which I thought was perfect for something like this, because maybe we found a way of planting something in this area, but they're not going to completely decimate the plant life. The other thing that connects to that is the dromedary camel has 3 stomachs that help it digest tough vegetation. So maybe certain plants can only really live on Mars, so they are able to actually digest these more tough vegetations. So I filled in a few more gaps. It was kind of easy to like fill in the pieces right next to like the framework, the start of the project. The smaller the gaps and the more complicated the shapes are, I tried a few different ways of filling it in. As you can see here, I thought, oh, can I put some hexagons by here? No. No, I can't. That does not fit. But putting that hexagon there made me realise that that top gap is a perfect shape for the pentagon. Pentagon? No, yes, not a pentagram. So playing around with the shapes does help you like sort of visualise what you need to put where. Just keep experimenting, keep having a look, and it will eventually, you'll find a shape that fits. I wish there were more sizes. I always wish there were more sizes for anything on Planet Zoo though. It's tricky. If you would rather just download mine or someone else's, I know there are a couple of different geodesic domes on Steam. If you'd rather just download mine, I'll put it up on the workshop. This would probably be a really fun walkthrough exhibit with this geodesic dome. Like imagine butterflies in here. Am I gonna do that? No. Maybe. No, I've thought about it. I kind of want to. Can you imagine the butterflies flying around? You got the camels chilling, eating their really gross vegetation. I don't think the butterflies would survive in Mars though, would they? On Mars. In Mars. It's on Earth, so it's got to be on Mars, right? I think this is going to be one of the most chaotic videos I've ever recorded, because I've never done something else and then come home and just thought, fuck it, I'll go makeup on, I'll record. Just in a mood now, because I've done something and this feels strange. I've talked to strangers today, not just you, you know, my 2 monitors and some ring lights that I personify. Speaking of talking to you though, or you know, personifying my computer, so I feel like I could talk to someone. I actually hit 500 subscribers on YouTube! Thank you! The first milestone. We are halfway to the partnership program for subscribers only. None of the views yet, or the view time. So if you want to like help me out on that. I got my first like, congratulations, you can fill a jumbo jet email from YouTube. Can I? Wow. I filled in a few more gaps. Some pentagons worked really well in another space, but I've still got this hexagon shape that's too big, and the triangles did not work. I was getting more and more frustrated with it, so I was like, look, this hexagon shape almost fits. Surely I can find a way of just shoving that in and seeing if I can fill in some gaps. And I found when I put a hexagon and align it to the right side of the larger hexagon gap, I kind of leave a gap that looks a little bit like a moon. And I like that. I like the crescent moon shape gap. It's kind of like a hidden Mickey, pretty Disney in it. But we've got a hidden moon in the geodesic dome. Oh, I do have one more gap I needed to fill. I thought because it was the bottom, I would try and get one of the larger shapes. There's still the bubble ones. You can't quite tell, but if you look from a certain angle, you can see it doming out. So I got a big triangle, and then can you see like the gap that could definitely fit 3 triangles in? It's sort of how I made the shape at the top before I gave up and left it as the crescent moon gap. It fits 3 triangles anyway. Thought that would be great to add like a big triangle in the center and 3 smaller triangles to fit in those gaps. And lastly, I'm going to fill in the crescent moon, but to make it a little bit more interesting and make it have like this hidden design in the geodesic dome, I'm using the one-way glass panels, and these are amazing because there is a 0.5 by 1 glass panel, and I was like, yes, thank you, Frontier. I need everything this size, please. I love teeny tiny ones. So from the outside of the dome, you can see like the outline of the crescent moon, of course, but you can't see anything because it's glass, right? So the one-way glass is see-through from the outside, but if you go inside the dome where the habitat is, you'll have this black crescent moon pattern, and it'll go all the way around the dome because obviously it's duplicated, so I should have 4, 6, I don't know. I got quite a few crescent moon shapes then on the inside so that you can only see from the inside. If you go from the outside, you can't see it. I didn't want the terraforming to go too off, moving the enrichment items around the planet, so I placed some paths down because the paths lock terrain, and if you put enrichment items down that will flatten terrain and put them on top of paths, the terrain stays exactly the same. Gotta be careful that you're not putting it too close to like somewhere where there isn't a path. That's why I've made the path quite wiggly, because sometimes if you put it too close to the end of the path, some bits around it will flatten. But yeah, good trick to not ruin your pretty terraforming if you've sorted it out. Put paths down. Don't matter what path it is, it will lock the terrain. And then once you're done, just delete the path. Look how cool the shadows look! Yes! So fun. So for my idea for the inside the dome, I wanted to create kind of like a pipework system that releases oxygen, cleans the air, something, right? These are like the pipes that will help the camels live in this geodesic dome, because at the moment I'm pretty sure Mars is not actually habitable. You can tell you're like a book nerd when you know the word, but you don't know how to pronounce it. I'm using the guttering pieces, and I've left them in white as well, so the white plastic theme kind of matches in with the geodesic dome. Those bubble shapes are actually FlexiColor, I think. I just didn't bother changing the color of them. But I used guttering, and the like connection for the like guttering that's supposed to connect to a house, I used as like little stands. So they sit just above the ground. The camels can walk over them. They got nice long legs. They just walk over them. They don't give a shit about the pipework at all. And I had a look at some of the special effects that I thought might look nice. I kind of wanted like a misty steam effect to look like it was sort of releasing some kind of gas to add oxygen to the geodesic dome, clean the air on Mars, something like that. So I used the smoke bursts, and I left it playing so they would burst at different times, but then I duplicated it and they all burst at once, so you can kind of play around with that and try and get them to burst at different times. Of course, I selected the plants that the camels liked, but I wanted really arid plants that don't need too much like water, because obviously there's no water on Mars and we need that for plants. But the camels aren't going to overeat these plants, and they will keep their vegetation around the area. I picked like, I think it was aloe vera, and I then went for like the dry plants. You can search dry in the search bar to have more arid looking plants that kind of blend in with this area. I was thinking, oh, do I go proper tropical and make this really unrealistic? But I thought the arid plants looked nicer in this area anyway. And I kind of had fun with the shadows because I placed some of the plants inside the hexagon shadow shape, and some plants I connected to like the lines, the shadow themselves. So I kind of had fun placing all of the plants around and fitting them in the shadows, but that only really works if you have this exact time. So we're on to the pretties now. Have a look at the camels walking around. I found a lot of different camels. I found the piebald camels, Leucistic, the white ones, Leucistic, I think. Oh, I swear I heard that from like a snake guy on TikTok. I also found Melanistic camels as well. I thought having a good variation of these camels to populate this planet, and obviously they're just more fun when they're different colours and different variations. I find it more fun to find those as well. And if you want to know how to find different variants, or how I found my different variants in Sandbox, I do have a short how to find albino animals in Planet Zoo. I will link the Planet Diorama challenge in the description as well, so you can find the Planet Diorama on Steam, and all of the rules and stuff will be linked for that video as well if you want to have a look at that and join in this challenge. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this first build on my Planet Diorama, let me know in the comments and smash that like button. If you haven't already and you would like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload long form videos on Wednesdays and short form tutorials on Sundays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!